JLo's finally broke her silence on Ben, and what she said is actually kind of sad. Well, finally, JLo's broke her silence. She's talking about her relationship and I guess breakup with Ben. It's really kind of given some insight into her mind, because I think that in the interviews she's done in the last few years, this one really, I think she really seems vulnerable in this interview. And please subscribe. Help me to get to 500 subscribers. I really appreciate it. But she's really kind of bearing her soul in this recent interview. And it's sad because one of the things she said, that she talked about how, how she had hopes for the future. And she talks about how now it's time for her to look inside herself and to deal with her own emotions. And it's kind of sad because, when you think of someone like JLo, and, not just because she's a celebrity, because there's a lot of people like this, that she has such an idealistic view of what a relationship should be and the relationships she has. And I think that's one of the reasons why she's been married and divorced 4 times now. Some people use that as a negative against her, but and I understand how it could be used as a negative, but I think someone like JLo, who's a good person and who I think always has the best intentions, I think a lot of times she idealizes what, love will be and a relationship will be. And I think when you idealize it too much, it's bound to fall apart, because it's never ideal. For anyone who's currently married or been married, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's one thing for a regular relationship, when you're dating someone, it goes haywire and it gets crazy. Once you're actually married, and especially when you add kids to it, it gets very complicated. And if you're in the business of idealizing things and thinking, well, this person should be doing this, and this person should be thinking this, and this person should be doing this for me, and if I do this for them, they should be responding this way, you're in for an absolute disaster. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, because that's just not how it works. Because a lot of times we do something nice for someone in a relationship, and either they don't care, and that's not a negative thing. I'm not saying that someone is like, they take and they say, I don't care about that. I hate it. Now some people might, but I'm just talking about even, in a relationship that's a good relationship. Sometimes someone might not respond the way in your mind you're thinking they will, or they should, or they might. And they might be happy. You might have did something nice for them. You might have got them a gift, and they might actually genuinely like it, but they just don't show it the way you thought they should show it, So if you do that all the time, which I think, personally, that's what I think JLo does, and that's why these relationships implode, and that's why actually it's probably not a bad thing that she's looking inside herself now. And it's interesting if she actually is, because from the outside, a lot of people have been talking about, I mean, no matter where you read, everyone's got 2 cents on JLo's relationship, because we're fans of hers. That's why people have want to throw their 2 cents in, because we're fans, and you care, and you feel like you've got something invested, right? Because with any of the celebrities that we pay attention to, you feel like you're invested in their life, and you feel like they're invested in your life. It's a strange thing, but that's just how it is. But a lot of people have said that she needs to look inside herself and kind of get right with herself and kind of straighten her own mind out. And the thing, I think the advantage that she has now is that she's at an age where I think it's a little easier to reflect and improve yourself at that age. Like when you get into your 40s and above, I think it's a little easier, because as long as you're honest with yourself, and I do think it's a little bit easier to be honest with yourself, because I think when you're in your 20s, you worry so much about what everyone's thinking. And the old saying goes, in your 20s, you think everyone's thinking about you, and in your 30s or 40s, you realize that no one's thinking about you at all, And it's because everyone's worried about their own life. But when you get into your, when you get into your 40s and beyond, you start realizing a couple things. You start realizing that I do think it matters what people think about you to an extent. Now people will say, "Oh, don't worry about what anyone thinks." Yes and no. I guess that's a different conversation. We won't even get into that now. But I think it's not. No, you don't care what anyone thinks. I don't know, but we're not going to talk about that now. Anyways, if you're honest with yourself, and it's easier to be honest with yourself because you've gone through some things at this point, good and bad, and then you start seeing like what's worked in your life, what hasn't worked in your life, and if she's honest with herself, she could kind of look and say, okay, well, this worked in this relationship, this didn't work in this relationship, but do I think JLO is going to change? No, I really don't think so. I really don't think so. And she was asked if she's going to get in another relationship, and she said she's not thinking about that right now. But someone like her, you just can't imagine her not being in a relationship because that's just how she is. That's just her way she lives. And it's funny too, there's another thing too, even as you get older and you start, reflecting on your life, you start, being more honest with yourself. There's also things that you realize there's character traits or just the way you are in some ways that are not going to change for better or worse. They're just not going to change. There's certain ways that you are that you just have to learn to accept. So that might be one of the things that she's got to just learn to accept, that she wants to be in a relationship and she's going to idealize the relationship, and it's probably not going to work out. So will she be in another relationship? I think sooner than later. Will it work out? No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't think it will. But we'll see. The JLO saga, it's not going away anytime soon. So it will continue. Just hopefully the Ben and Jen, the JLO and Ben saga stops because he's something else. But the JLO saga, it won't slow down.